What's up, everybody? LSU Odyssey live here in the house, in our house, our new place, and we just did a Garrett Nussmeier deep dive, deep dive on everything around the saga of the injury. Was he injured? Is he not injured? All this crap. And Brian Kelly gave us something definitive. We went into all that. No Garrett Nussmeier discussion here on this video. If you want all of our Garrett Nussmeier talk on what went down with that injury, what could be ahead with all that, we've got it all. Even what we think about the backup quarterbacks, we've got all of it in that video right there behind this one on LSUODYSSEY.com, on the home, on our YouTube. We've got it all right there. But for this video, we have to talk about yet another LSU running back who has met legal troubles. We all know about Trey Holly and how those legal troubles kept Holly from playing for LSU this season and last season, and maybe forever. He's having to play at Southern this year, barely. And he's still going to be dealing with those charges, all based on mistaken identity, all because of an air conditioning unit that hasn't been fixed in a courthouse. He entered legal hell, and his whole world was turned upside down. And now you have JT Lindsay, who is maybe facing worse odds than Trey Holly was, because very quickly they could prove whether Holly was there or not, participating in the shooting or not. It's quite obvious they found out he's not. Okay, what do we go? Did he supply the guns? All of that is going to be proven Trey Holly's way in a courtroom very soon. Okay. What worries me about this JT Lindsay situation is that there's just some things that are really don't go in his way in this situation when you look at the facts here. Okay. You've got two friends from Alexandria. That's Lindsay's hometown. And we're going to do the fair thing here and give you what would be Lindsay's side and Lindsay as his character and a peek into his personality as well. But first, we just got to give stone cold facts of what happened. Okay. This is what we know. This is no speculation. This is what we know officially. The suspects are 17-year-old Shamel Jacobs and 19-year-old Keldrick Jordan, both high school childhood friends of JT Lindsay's from his time in Alexandria. That's his hometown. That's where he's grown up. That's where these guys grew up. And that is where a shooting in May happened that killed Corey Brooks, shot to death last May. Okay. He was 17 when his life was taken. The suspects for that shooting, 17-year-old Shamel Jacobs and 19-year-old Keldrick Jordan, are friends of JT Lindsay's. What happened? Why is JT Lindsay mixing it up? Why does this have anything to do with JT Lindsay? Because these two went to LSU's campus, to the Riverbend dormitory tower or building or what. I mean, maybe tower isn't the right word because it's not that tall, but it's basically an apartment building, apartment complex, and usually LSU freshmen are sent there. LSU football player freshmen are there. I remember Jack Besh roomed there, Malik Neighbors roomed there, Mason Smith roomed there. So many LSU legends as freshmen were at the Riverbend. Okay. And that's where JT Lindsay, that's where his dorm is. And JT was having a damn good fall camp, damn good spring, looking like a good piece to the puzzle in that running back room, who probably isn't going to get too much work this year, but he's a good guy to have if someone goes down, because he's going to earn you tough yards, violent runner, physical runner, thoroughbred potential. I wouldn't say he's like a thoroughbred right this second, but thoroughbred potential for him. Okay. But these two, this is where it gets very problematic. These two, Shamel Jacobs, 17-year-old, and 19-year-old Keldrick Jordan, the suspects in the shooting of 17-year-old Corey Brooks, all of these guys are Alexandria natives, including Lindsay. These two guys stayed at the Riverbend for 2 weeks, arrested on August 4th, okay, just a few days ago. Arrested on the 4th, but they stayed for 2 weeks. And, okay, Lindsay's attorney argues that Lindsay only knew that they were wanted. He did not know that they were wanted for potential murder charges. Well, that kind of gets thrown up into a lot of questions when they find 4 different weapons in the campus room at the Riverbend, including an AR-15, a Draco. I can't remember the other 2 guns, but there's 4 different guns found. One heavy duty, pretty heavy duty, AR-15. Okay, it's an assault rifle. Damn it. Then there's a couple pistols. Why are they there? They're not allowed to be there. What the hell are they doing there? JT Lindsay's already in big trouble right there for that. Okay. But Lindsay claims he didn't know the guns were there, and he did not know that these guys were wanted for murder charges. However, I would take him at his word, and we'll just decide it in court, right? There is an associate. This is just described as an associate, and this is from reporting by WAFB's Chris Nakamoto, who did a really damn good job on this story. So Chris Nakamoto, fantastic work from you on this reporting. Got to give you credit for this. When you're using someone else's information, someone else's hard blood, sweat, and tears work, grinding, reporting, you've got to give them some credit. I mean, you've got to mention it. You've got to put, come on. And so Chris Nakamoto is the one who did all this bang-up job here. But he says an associate of JT Lindsay's says that that's bullshit. That Lindsay damn well knew absolutely without a doubt, allegedly, that those 2 were in fact wanted for the murder of Corey Brooks, which happened a year and a half ago. So it's not like it was, and that's another thing. His attorney argues, well, he was at fall camp when all this was happening. How would he have known? He was in town when the murder of Corey Brooks happened. It's not like he didn't know about the murder. And now as we see who he was hanging out with, it looks like he may have known and been very good friends with Corey Brooks' 2 killers, alleged 2 killers. Now, what did Lindsay know? What did he not know? This associate has gone on legal record with sworn affidavit, going to be most likely sworn testimony in front of a courtroom, most likely, in front of a judge, in front of a jury, and going to have to say that again, that Lindsay knew, and going to have to prove evidence. I mean, there's going to be some type of evidence. If JT Lindsay knew that these guys committed a murder last May, there will be evidence on Lindsay's phone, on someone else's phone, that proves that. That proves that he knew. Okay. Now, if that was so, I don't see him turning himself in like he was here with his mother and his attorney leading the way. I think that was the right thing to do, and that's the smart thing to do. JT Lindsay getting ahead of the situation here. But now, where does this throw his status as being a Tiger? Because this young man, Corey Brooks, he's been dead for almost a year and a half. There's nothing that can be changed about that, sadly. Justice can be served, of course, for his murder. And I don't think JT Lindsay really played a direct role in any of that. Maybe he literally helped his friends evade justice for a while, let them hang out for a while. But I also think he, potentially may have endangered fellow LSU students by having these guys on campus with those type of guns. They've already committed a murder. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. At the same time, I will speak on the record that JT Lindsay is a remarkable young man. He has a fantastic character. This is a stunning, stunning development. Like, this really has me knocked backward, because what I know of JT and how long I've, been around JT, he's one of the players that I speak about that I actually haven't spoken to much. There's a lot of players that I've spoken to a lot, gotten to know, even, been to their place, been to their homes, seen their family, eaten with their family. There's plenty of those, but there's some guys like JT Lindsay who I haven't really gotten the time to know him as well. We talked here and there when he was in high school, talked here and there when he was about to commit at LSU. I always supported the kid. I always liked him as a player. But I found out just what a great character he is even more over the last year. Some things that are private that I can't share, I'll have to maybe get permission to share if that will kind of help his case. I would like to help that way. But I think JT is innocent here. I think he made he's definitely guilty of making stupid decisions. I think JT is definitely guilty of making a stupid decision, letting those guys hang out. Is he guilty of committing a murder, accessory to a murder, anything to do with a murder? No. Did he know the seriousness of what he was doing, having those two individuals in his apartment for 2 weeks, evading justice? I just don't think he knew what the gravity of what he was doing was. I mean, am I naive? Am I naive to believe this young man that there's just no way that he's that kind of person that would be on that type of a side of life where, hey, all these guns, shooting a 17-year-old kid, a fellow classmate, and then everybody knows who killed him, but no one's saying a damn thing. No justice for anybody. That type of culture of violence and guns and all that stuff. It doesn't match up with who JT Lindsay is in my mind. But maybe I just don't know him well enough. Maybe I didn't know him well enough. Maybe I didn't know him well enough to see this type of stuff. At the same time, having friends can be rough in this way, where you guilt by association. Especially when you're succeeding, you're climbing in life, you're flying high, you're ascending, you're at LSU. You got a full ride scholarship. You got NIL cash. You likely have a car that you're driving around. Okay. You're not going to be the number one running back this year, but you're going to be in the conversation the next few years. Okay. After Caden Durham's gone, after Caleb Jack, you're going to be in that conversation. You have a lot of star power potential. I can't see him throwing it away unless he really just made a dumb move here by having them come here. He may have been completely unaware that now they were facing charges, and just has them come over and hang out, and then, oh shit, they're facing charges. Oh my God, what did I just do? Like, it's something like that in my mind. But this is a situation where as much as you can report, as much as you can talk to people, they're going to tell you what they want you to put out there, what they want you to think happened. So you talk to JT Lindsay's side, you're going to get everything positive for him because he's facing serious 2 felony charges. 2 felony charges. A felony charge is a life-changing thing. A felony conviction is a life-changing thing. 2 of them for an accessory to murder. Damn. If he's innocent, this just cannot happen. It cannot happen. We cannot go down this road. But there is likely proof to establish whether he knew or not. There is going to be somewhere on his phone proof of if he was aware of this or if he wasn't. And the existence or non-existence of messages of, hey, did you guys commit that murder? Like, that doesn't have to be there, for him to have known as well. They just silent on the electronics, speak about it. But these are kids as well that we're talking about. Kids. There's going to be screw-ups. There's going to be emotional, impulsive, sent that text and then, oh, shit. That can get traced. Oh well. Or maybe they don't even know that things can get traced. These are kids. 17-year-old Shamel Jacobs, 19-year-old Keldrick Jordan, and then you got JT, who's, 19, 18 himself. I mean, young kids here. It's sad. You hate to see the mom in that position where she's got to lead her son into a police headquarters to get arrested, and is this going to be the last time you're going to be able to touch your baby again? Last time you're going to be able to hold him. He's being processed. I'm sure he will be bailed out very quickly here. I'm sure he will get bail time and the trial, all the stuff. He'll be out on bail, but he's going through hell in an interrogation room, I'm sure. But hopefully there's that lawyer who's going to get him out of there, and they're not going to have to be able to ask him too many questions or throw him up against the wall, because this seems to me to be a situation where JT Lindsay made a stupid decision, and now it has turned into something else completely, something far more nefarious than it really was. Letting some troubled friends visit on a whim, and then they keep pushing that visit, they keep extending it, and you're too nice to send them away. And then finally things kind of hit the breaking point and you send them on their way, and you kind of wonder what's going on with this thing or that thing. Some shady stuff might be going on. Like, are those guns in the bags? What's going on? What are in those bags? Oh, well, I got to go to class. I got to go to football camp. I got to go to this. Like, he is busy while those 2 guys are just hanging out there. So many things here could have gone wrong. And just thank God no one else was hurt. And, they're not guilty of killing Corey Brooks yet. But for the police to have circled these 2 with such extremity, and for my contact in the police department in Alexandria to tell me that just unequivocally said, these are the guys. These are the guys. It made it seem quite definitive. Actually, that contact in the Alexandria Police Department actually used to play for LSU. Oh, shit. I should not have said that. Anyway, this is troubling news, and now LSU are absolutely screwed at running back. Absolutely screwed at running back. Who do you have? You have Caden Durham, who, as good as he is, as unfreaking real as Caden Durham is, as much of a superstar in the making, history for the taking that he is, you feel like until he goes a full season without injuries, you can kind of say injury prone. And you just hope that tag just never quite like grasps itself to him and it kind of fades away, falls away, dies away. But you got to wonder about the injuries he suffered last year and his durability. And you just, he's twice, 3 times the player he was last year, because he didn't even get a spring camp last year. Now he has. He's going to be a better player. But you lose a little bit more depth when you had Trey Holly, you had JT Lindsay potentially on this roster as well. So you could have had a room of Caden Durham, Caleb Jackson, kind of a lightning thunder 1-2 punch there, finesse power, and then you've got Harlem Berry, who is really quite a weapon. Really, I mean, more on the finesse side. I'd say a lot more on the finesse side, and especially since he's a freshman, he has a lot of strength and bulk that he needs to add. Not much, but just he needs to add a little bit more definition to be able to have that strength to get through a season. But Harlem Berry, Caleb Jackson, Caden Durham, that's it now. That is it. That's it. That's it. That's Juwan Johnson now. Former quarterback, former cornerback, having to be switched to a running back role. And this was before Lindsey had to turn himself in and was arrested on 2 felony charges of accessory to murder, which all might be thrown out and go away. But we damn well know under Kelly, if you have any ongoing legal troubles, you cannot be on the team until they're resolved. I think unless a miracle occurs, JT Lindsay is likely to have played his last snap for LSU at least in 2025. And that does not fill me with any joy to say that. As not only did this team need JT Lindsay big time at that running back position, JT Lindsay was good. And JT Lindsay is still a damn good player. And JT Lindsay still has a damn good future ahead of him. But man, this kid has to have some things turn his way here, because this looks bad right now. And here's the thing, just like Trey Holly, there's a lot of times media and the way things are presented, you've got to keep in mind the source. We only get one, WAFB and Chris Nakamoto are the ones who are reporting this story. Okay. And we've been able to verify a lot of the stuff that has been reported. And I've seen other outlets verify things as well and kind of there's kind of a consensus, a thread, a pattern of what's true and what isn't here. At the same time, I remember Trey Holly was basically almost publicly crucified the second all that was going on. People were literally throwing him away, get him off the team, absolute sicko, so many disgusting comments. And I'm not talking about good LSU fans, people like Peggy or people a Nurse Court, Stephen Miller, a Caden, a Holden. Those people are hey, what the hell is going on here? Let's get the facts before we make some type of sweeping, emotional, stupid judgment. So I'm talking about kind of the fringe the fan base, kind of just some people who might just be online bots, even, faceless kind of people. Those are more of the people who are doing that, kind of coming out and ripping on Trey Holly like crazy, just guilty, just guilty. No presumption of innocence. This isn't America. You're just guilty. And that was insane. And so the outset of this case, I want to do my due diligence in the media, just like we tried to with Trey Holly, just like we tried to with Kyron Lacey. And we're not going to go along with the mob. We are not going to go along with the mob for hits. We're not going to go along with that bullshit. We are going to literally mob for facts. And if that means that JT Lindsay, is an accessory in this, I'm sorry to report that, but that's what it is. If that means that he's completely innocent, which would be unbelievable, like, career moment to break news like that, fantastic. Even better. Let's hope to God. So it's a difficult situation here. It's a difficult situation, but not something that can't be turned around or resolved. But time is not on JT Lindsay's side. The season's you know how the legal process moves. Slower than John Candy taking a shit circa 1995 Cool Runnings. Like, we're talking like, this is going to take a while. So whether Lindsay can play for LSU, it would be a little hypocritical of Brian Kelly to be like, oh, well, Trey Holly couldn't during his legal process, but Lindsay can. So I can't really see that happening, and it's been LSU's kind of their policy for a long time. So it's quite obvious that unless a miracle happens and this gets resolved very quickly, hope to God it does. Unless that happens, JT Lindsay, it's going to be his last snaps at LSU for the foreseeable future. Hopefully this can get resolved at least by week 5, week 6, something like that. Get him back in. But something's telling me that this is going to be a season-long thing, and this is probably the last we've seen of JT Lindsay this season. And for an innocent, maybe just naive, maybe just making a dumb decision, a young man like this caught in this situation, I just feel sick to my stomach, because I think I think I know that this isn't some, psychopathic gunman gangsta. This is a young man who is on his way to the top. This is a young man who literally doing amazing in school, acing tests, looking like a great running back for the future for LSU, or even the now. 14 yards on a couple carries that I watched in the other day, where he had at least a 12-yard run on one of the plays. Really looking like more effective than any other running back outside of Durham. And Juwan Johnson and him looked like some of the more effective running backs that we would have. And so Lindsay, you knew, was going to give you at least everything he had on every rep. And he had the violence in his running game to really make it in the SEC. Now, let's hope he gets another bite at the apple here. Let's hope he gets another opportunity. And let's hope that's at LSU. And I just think we have to be realistic. We know the policy that Brian Kelly has, LSU has, where if you are dealing with some ongoing legal thing, you can't play for LSU. We saw that go on before Brian Kelly came to campus. Ed Ingram, he couldn't play the entire 2018 season. Luckily, barely made it back in time, like literally a day before the deadline for the 2019 team. And the rest is history because he played a lot on that team. Amacat1 says, same thing happened to Lacey. He was presumed guilty before any facts were released. Exactly. And that's why I'm just saying it from the top. Like, man, we got to do this right. We got to do it right. Not only for JT Lindsay or whatever, trying to, hey, protect your LSU guys. It's not even about that. It's actually do right by the victim and their family. Get the right freaking guy behind bars. I mean, I'll even go on to a diatribe on how we shouldn't even be putting murderers, pedophiles, these type of people, we shouldn't even be putting them behind bars. Why are we wasting our tax money and literally letting these people exist, just waiting for that next hurricane, that next natural disaster, that next chance to escape and then get out of there? Like, what are we doing as a society? Put those type of people down, the sickest of the sickest. These are two young kids, whether they're guilty or not of this killing. These are two young kids. They don't qualify for any of that. This situation is very delicate and complex, and who knows what happened to get that shooting to go down. I'm going to dig into the shooting of Corey Brooks tonight, and I'm going to have some answers for you in the next day or so about what we're looking at here. And maybe someone else will be able to provide answers. Maybe someone else is right now about to break news on their own about, another facet of this story. But this is basically what we've got so far. And it's just heartbreaking to see. Sage is like throwing his cars over here. He's trying to get my attention. It's hilarious. We're really wanting to see that moment where JT Lindsay is exonerated from this, hopefully. We really want this to be treated fairly, but we're only going to follow the facts. And that's what we've always done, whether people have liked it, hated us, got mad at us or not. I think, we've made some mistakes as well trying to facts, but then you got to the fourth one and you got a bit off track, or someone deliberately led you off track, which is why my mistakes have happened, actually, each time. Complete sabotage by somebody else. And that's why you got to get better at this stuff and really make sure your sources are 100% correct at everything. And so when you have someone reporting crime, stuff like this, you got to be very careful, because you could very easily paint a JT Lindsay, a Kyron Lacey guilty very quickly with how you report it. And it might be unintended, but the photos you use, the way the dude's presented, all of it can have a very negative effect, and justice can't be served at that point. So we have to make sure it's fair. And from us, JT Lindsay is going to get that from LSU Odyssey. Let's look at some comments. Wow, we got a lot of comments up in here. We've got wow. Carl Dunn is in the house. Devin Johnson. One second. Let's see here. Why is this not letting me select that comment? We got Carl Dunn in the house. Carl, my man. Let's do another show soon, brother. Devin Johnson says, you got to get out and away from your surroundings, self-sabotage. True. I mean, if he's guilty of anything here, and, you know, it would be. It would be, you know, and there have been players who I've been close with who actually wanted my advice, would actually ask for my advice. And there would be these times. Sorry, my son is just smashing these cars, and it's just so loud. I apologize. It would literally just constantly tell certain guys who lived in certain areas, hey, man, don't go home. Don't go home for this party. I know it's going to be crazy. I know it's going to get nuts. I know what's going on with this or that person. Maybe you have a beef with them, and they're going to be like, there were certain situations where it was like, no, don't go home. Don't go home. I know you want to. Just have your mom come down to Baton Rouge. You know, like it was. And it's because it always happens that way. They're always off from the team. They're always going back home. And because they have that money now, because they have that car, because they have that, you know, they're feeling like they're invincible. Like they can do anything and get away with anything. And you know what? A lot of times they can. And so you see this happen a lot of the times where it's dudes who maybe don't really deserve what's happening, but because they made a few mistakes, hung out with some really terrible people, some really shitty characters who did something bad, did something really bad. Sometimes you pay the price for their decision. That's why athletes specifically are talked to about the company you keep. And that is why I specifically always talk, when I'm talking to the kids I talk to, and we get to that kind of heart to heart, let's be real with each other to the bone type of a talk. And they always will ask me, what do you think of my friends? What do you think of the surroundings? What do you think of? And I'm like, hey, I'm never going to sugarcoat it to you. This is who is probably somebody you need to cut out of that circle. This is somebody who probably shouldn't go with you to that next stage of life. It always comes out cold. It always sounds cold and heartless until something like this happens, and JT Lindsay's mom is having to lead her son into a police station to turn himself in. It all sounds like you're mean, crazy, you know, dominating your child and all this stuff, trying to keep your child away from people and whatever it is. When these situations happen, then you understand why parents are like this, why they feel this way, why they look at these type of things, and why it matters. Carl Dunn says, well, he will be off the team temporarily until it gets settled. It's a felony. Of course. That's what we were saying. It's a felony case. Any prolonged legal trouble, even if it's not a felony, you're off the team until it's resolved. Even if it's like community service, they're like, no, do your community service or you're done. This is a moment where JT Lindsay's going to have to really stay tough, stay strong, and get through this. And just tell the truth. Because I guarantee you, even if he knew they had committed a murder and he was harboring them because he knew cops are coming and, hey, I wanted to show him a last good time or whatever before they're going to jail. Like, that can be understood and dealt with. But the lying, the trying, like, it's going to look way worse for JT Lindsay. It's going to look like he's hiding something far more sinister than maybe he is. So I worry about all these things. I hope his lawyer is ready to fight like hell, because if he's not, he's got to be replaced, and they got to get a lawyer who's going to really fight for JT here, or they don't stand a chance. They will literally put this all on him as well as those other two kids. He harbored these, like, they will do that. The Louisiana justice system is absolutely an atrocity. Don't try and convince me otherwise. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can show me that will change my mind on that. I've seen too much. I've read too much. I know too much about that. And the Louisiana justice system is horrifying. Let's see here. Devin Johnson says he knew, just trying to be a good friend to friends that want to bring him down. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is we're trying to explain the facts here. The facts are that he and his lawyer are saying that he knew they were wanted men, but that he didn't know it was for a murder, because he claimed he was at fall camp when all this was going on, when it's like the murder happened when he was literally in Alexandria, still in his hometown. So he would have definitely known about this thing. And even if it was he's just showing him a good time, why let it be on LSU campus? Why let them hang around there with all those weapons, knowing that the cops show up and they have even a whiff to react? There might be something really bad about to happen. There might be a damn shootout. Like, you've got to... I mean, somebody's about to get taken down for the rest of their life. They're about to go to jail for probably the rest of their life, or maybe most of it, and they have a giant weapon in their hands, or close by. That adrenaline's pumping. They've already made a stupid decision to kill somebody. It's really not a huge swing to they're going to shoot a cop now, or they're going to shoot other. Yeah, that's where we're at this point in this situation. So really, this whole thing is a disaster from JT Lindsay's perspective. At the same time, it's nothing that can't be figured out, because here's the thing: he didn't kill anybody. He isn't responsible for anyone dying. He's just responsible for these guys evading justice for a bit, and that's punishable. But is it honestly like the biggest crime you've ever heard of? No, it is not. And so let's don't paint this as, oh my God, he's a part of the gun culture that took, Corey Brooks, and he's one of these gangsters, and oh my gosh, he's a shooter, and oh my God, there's people who've already kind of started to say that type of stuff. I think we need to hold our horses until we get actual proof of him holding guns up, trying to look all badass in some photos, and then pointing guns at people, or, actual evidence. Someone goes on a witness stand, raises their right hand, puts their other hand on a Bible, and then proceeds to tell us all that JT Lindsay, points guns at people and beats people up and is a violent menace to society. Then until that day, I can't really say any of that or ascribe any guilt outside of, okay, he harbored some guys who were wanted for a murder, and that is awful. That is a terrible crime for someone who is my age to be doing that. But someone who's 17, 19, 18, childhood friends, They don't understand the full gravity of what they're doing, of what is going on. They just know that this is a very hyper emotional time. This might be the last time they see these people. They don't know what I guarantee you JT Lindsay did not know the full extent of what was going on or why they were wanted. I almost can guarantee you that. Because I think he had to have been shocked by the presence of those guns if he's innocent. He had to have been shocked by, oh my God. So they were just chilling here with these guns. They definitely shot the Corey kid. Like, he's going to have to be piecing this together and be, oh my God, and stunned by all of the facts if he's innocent. So I really just want the best for him here. And I just really want to see him be able to get away from this, move on, but also face it head on, kind of take it head on and prove his innocence. And hopefully the Louisiana justice system moves a lot quicker for JT Lindsay than it did for Trey Hawley. My God. Carl Dunn says, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but having guns in his apartment is not a great look. Really, Carl, it's why it's looking like a very bad situation for JT Lindsay. The fact that there were guns there. 4 different guns there. The fact that, all of this just looks bad on him. All of it does. Their presence on LSU campus with all of these guns. He's got to... I don't know how he can explain not knowing that those guns are there. I don't know how he can do that. Because it's not something in that culture of, hey, we're hanging out, we got guns, it's all good that we've got some attempted murder charges. In a culture like that, a heightened, violent culture, they would have no problem having the guns on the coffee table and smoking the blunts and all this stuff. JT Lindsay's not like that. So where is he like, is this like where his new path and his old past, his old friends' decisions combined with his decisions, of going to LSU, going to class, making that climb to be one of the best players on the offense potentially by the time he's leaving LSU. And maybe it's a clash between where he's going and where these guys maybe should have been, but never could have quite made it, and just a really nasty clash of those two worlds that leaves us wondering what the hell happened here. Why, if you did know there was guns there, why did you let them stay there? If you did know, if one of them confessed to you they'd shot that kid, why would you let them stay there? So, the friendship, I knew it was going to be their last time, blah, blah, blah. I understand all that. But at the same time, when you know that, oh my God, I'm about to go down 2 for this is not just about, oh, hey, I'm going to let them smoke some weed and whatever else for the, treat them to expensive food, whatever else. Let them sit around my place playing video games all day while I go and practice football and go to school. Like, it's sad. And it points to that being the reality of JT Lindsay's going off in this great direction. He's climbing, he's flying high. And these guys making terrible decisions, kill a young man, allegedly. and then come flying back into JT Lindsay's life when he least needs it. When he least needs them, but when they need him more than anything to basically cover for their ass, keep them somewhere for that, hey, JT, he can keep us. He'll have a shit ton of money from the NIL stuff. He'll be able to pay for our food. He'll be able to pay for our weed. It won't be a big deal for him to let us just chill at his dorm. I guarantee you that was the plan. I guarantee you. So we'll see where this goes. We'll see where this goes, but it does not look good for JT Lindsay right now. That does not mean he's guilty. Dino4 says this explains the Juwan move to running back. Well, he moved there before Lindsay was arrested or anything. He was moved there because Trey Holly wasn't going to come back, and Trey Holly then goes boom to Southern. Juwan was pretty much from late spring on at running back because of that. Amacat1, what's up, brother? Says being 17 equals felony gun charges. Let's see this. Devin Johnson says, back in the day, there was a code. You never put the one making it out a situation. You never put them in a bad situation. You kept them out of the fire. Exactly, dude. Exactly. I love that you're saying that because that's something I have always heard in all of my days of sports journalism, all of my days of interviewing, all of my days of really getting to know families, players, all the people around the sport, as many as I can get to know, whether that be fans or an athletic director, even, anyone. You hit the nail on the head. It was always protect them, get them out of the way of it. Yeah, they were hanging out with us that night. Yeah, they were smoking some weed. Maybe they did a few lines, whatever. They didn't get out of hand, but someone else there got out of hand. Shit, they're going to get caught up in this. Get them the F out of here. That is always what happens because people knew if this guy can get out, it's not just about him, financially coming back and throwing money in the air or some bullshit. It's if he can get out, that's a nonstop aspiration for me to get the hell out. And so I just don't understand why you would go and put him in that situation. And I think what I last explained, the scenario I last explained, I think that's the most likeliest scenario. Don't you think, Devin? That they basically just came and they were desperate and just were like, hey, JT can take care of us, and he will. We can manipulate him. He will because he's nice enough and he's got the money and he's at LSU. Let's go. I really believe that's what happened. Things have changed, man, because it's like, yeah, there was a code back in the day, but now it's like, screw the code, like who cares? He can just get me by. It's just bullshit. And then Devin says again, echoing, I think, something I was talking about. He says, nope, you got to keep all that away from you. You going up in life, you got to cut ties at times. Yep. That's what we were saying, man. There's just, like, I think you're probably reacting to me saying this sounds brutal, but because it's true. It's brutal, but necessary. And damn, you know JT Lindsay's mom worked her ass off to make sure that JT wasn't around people like this. You know it. She looks so just beleaguered and disappointed, but at the same time, she looks very steadfastly in defense of her son. She doesn't look like, how could you? You look so, how dare you dishonor the family? It's none of that. It's more like, okay, this sucks. This happened. Why did you make that dumb decision? But you know what? You have no part in what they've done. You have no part in this. Let's go clear your damn name, son. That's what the mom looks like to me. She doesn't look like a woman who's ready to go take her son to a lifetime of jail. She looks like a woman who's ready to prove her son's innocence. And I hope that attorney is right there every step of the way with that mother and really being there for her and really following what the mom wants and not just thinking, oh, this is get him to accept some plea deal and confess to something he has no part in doing, whatever will get me my easy fee. I hope they don't have an attorney like that. You've got to give JT every every opportunity here to prove his innocence. Because damn well the media is going to they're going to have their own narratives. And that includes us. We have our own narrative. And our narrative right now, from all of this information, just looking at everything, is it does not look good for someone who is basically innocent in this situation. He basically didn't do anything. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't listen to them shoot some people and drive off with them. He wasn't the getaway driver. He didn't do any of that crap. But he did allow his past to come and, pardon my language, fuck with his future. Because that's what it did. His past just come right into the present and fucked with his future. And I just know from looking at that mom that she's on a mission, that she is not going to let that happen. And we now have, this evidence from the Trey Holly case, Kyron Lacey a bit, that there is kind of a convict before we know mentality, and we know how bad the Louisiana justice system can be. How egregiously bad, egregiously unfair, egregiously just corrupt. And we know there's a lot of lives that have gotten caught up in that and wasted and absolutely eaten alive in that turbine. And I know I'm talking to people who have family who got caught up in that turbine and got eaten alive. I know a few just from in my home state. Okay. In Louisiana, where it's a whole different ball game legally. As a young, going in, being a young black man in a certain areas, accused of murder or anything to do with murder, whether you're playing for LSU or not. In fact, maybe more often if you are playing for, there is like quite the, another black athlete with a gun, there's kind of this ridiculous stereotypical stigma that is unavoidable. And unless you are really, really, really good, they're going to fuck with you. And they're going to try and screw your life up. Carl Dunn, I'm about to say something, but ever since NIL has happened, not everything has been bad with NIL, but there has been a lot of bad situations. Look at Georgia. You know, somebody said that. I can't remember who said it, whether it was Nick Saban or who it was, but maybe it was a basketball coach. I think it may have been like Krzyzewski or somebody like that. Somebody was like retiring early as a coach. And it was because of NIL. And they said the same thing that you're saying right now, Carl, was that ever since this like unfettered, no cap craziness with the money, you're going to get situations like this. You're going, and it doesn't have to even be what JT Lindsay does. It's just the simple fact that JT Lindsay, as a brand, now has a shit ton of money and is going to be a bigger brand that continues to build over time. That is always going to attract vultures. Always. You know what? I hope, I really hope for JT Lindsay to be able to clear his name and hopefully be able to come back to LSU. But it just doesn't look like that's going to be happening this season, as I've said. And that sucks. But I really believe that JT Lindsay is innocent here. As far as, knowing about the murder, knowing about that they had a warrant for the murder, knowing about the guns, it's all in a gray area where I just see this kid making one bad choice and it creates like 20 bad choices on top of it. But at this point, we don't know the full scope of this issue. We don't know the full scope of what's going on. We know probably about 45, 50% of this whole picture. And so with that limited look, that's what we can say right now. And it may be true. It may hold true. I just think there's something missing here, and I'm going to spend the night trying to figure that out, as long as a few other mysteries out. There's probably about 4 or 5 different articles I'm working on that have taken me quite a while. One of them has taken me over a year to write, and one of them I even had to seek legal advice to make sure, is this okay to writing this? Am I going to get sued for writing this? Everything is all good, but it will take some time for these things to be finished. But I cannot contain my excitement. I love doing the job of actually reporting, digging, finding the information, talking to all the people, connecting all these dots, whether that's stats, rushing yards allowed, rushing yards given, rushing yards gained, or, finding names that you didn't know were connected to a certain crime or whatever. Like, there's so many things that happen at LSU that make it such an interesting beat to cover, but you never want to see these type of stories. The problem is you're going to. At every high stakes, big time college program, you're always going to have legal moments, legal troubles, shootings, accidents, car accidents, killings, drugs, sexual assaults, a lot of sexual assaults. You're going to have a lot of things that get buried, a lot of things that get paid off, but the people paid off just, you know what, I can't allow this person to sit there and just continue to gain billions of dollars and worldwide fame and notoriety. And maybe they hear that one post-game interview where, man, this person's such a great human being, and it just changes them. Like, no, we're burning this mother to the ground. They are not a good person. We got to make sure the world knows that. You know, that's what usually triggers those moments. Or unless you're just wanting to, you know, I'm talking about the ones where people are actually guilty, not the bullshit, a lot of the bullshit Me Too stuff, like against debt. So you've got a situation where JT Lindsay is fighting for his life, fighting for his future. I mean, you're going to be facing probably upwards of 20 years in prison if convicted for this crime. I would just guess, like estimation, probably like 18 to 20 or something like that. It's this is everything. This is the game he needs to play this season. This is the opponent for him this season. And we can talk about everything once it's over. But for right now, JT Lindsay, this is your opponent. Everybody, if you love listening to this and you love the interaction that we have on this, definitely check out our video earlier on Garrett Nussmeier and the injury. I think you'll find that very insightful, very interesting. Come here, buddy. Come here. Is that my hat? Thank you, Seiji. Get your shoes on. I absolutely just am over the moon that you guys are watching. We got quite the audience in here tonight. You guys are awesome. We've got Killer Carl, Mr. Carl. Carl, you slay all of our hearts. Carl, the cool cat. Carl, the cat done. We got Devin Johnson, who's someone I've seen in here quite a few times. I think his name's familiar, and I really liked a lot of what you had to say because you brought kind of a more street view of things with talking about how, you know, we kept the guys who were gonna get out. We kept them out of this shit. Like, that's such a great insight and perspective on the whole thing that you just can't get anywhere else. You are valued and loved, my brother. Thank you so much for watching this show. I mean, this is why, this is the only reason I can continue to do this, is if the people of Louisiana, the great people of Louisiana, continue to support us. Without your support, we're nothing. Without your, you know, trust that we have to continue to earn every day, we're nothing. Nothing. I mean, just like literally, we might as well sell insurance at that point. If we don't have the trust of the people from Louisiana, from LSU, from the area that we are covering, then it's not only about irrelevant or relevance, it's about extinction. Like, you're done. In this business, you're done if the people can't trust you. And I hope that we've been able to earn your trust. I know we're not perfect, and no reporter is going to be, and especially a reporter like me, where my journalism school has basically been doing this, putting my name on the line and going hard to the mat for stories, for scoops. That's kind of been our journalism school. And maybe that pisses some people off. Maybe that angers some people. Maybe that bothers some people. That's the way it had to happen. I wasn't willing to go into six-figure debt just to get a piece of paper that says what I already know I can do. And also, doing this, I learned way more than I ever would have in a journalism school. Yes, a journalism school would have given me some connections, and maybe people would like me more in the hierarchy. Maybe I would get more opportunities in the media hierarchy because he went to this school, or he is an esteemed colleague of Sir Gregor McThorne, or whatever. Like, I don't care about any of that shit. I care about LSU and covering LSU. And I think sometimes it is also that, hey, you didn't, go to LSU, the manship. And so, until you go to manship, you don't mean anything. Some people have that view, I guess. But what I've really been just blessed by is the fact that I have always had supporters, whether it's, Jamie from Lake Charles, Jamer, who I really miss talking to her. What a lovely lady. Or Nurse Court, Peggy. I mean, Peggy is just incredible how much she'll support people, whether that's a walk-on who doesn't get much of attention, or, a little wannabe reporter like me. Peggy's been literally in our foxhole from day one. Stephen Miller, Holden Lee, Caden. There's the list goes on and on and on. CBD, Anthony Russo. There's so many of you. Whole lot of sauce. Always cool with us. Mike Ross, cool with us. KB, cool with us. Oh, God, I don't want to leave anyone out. I don't want to leave anyone. Fred from Plano, freaking love him. That guy has always been... I mean, that guy said stuff about our work publicly that, like, almost brought me to tears. The dude is just, if I could cry, if I had a soul, but we can't. But no, that dude is just such an amazing guy. And there's been a lot of people throughout our time covering LSU, from people who work for LSU to people, the fans, to players or their families, to coaches. There's been a lot of people who've looked out for us. There have been a lot of people who maybe gave us respect, gave us a seat at the table, gave us a lot of love that maybe we didn't deserve. And maybe we still don't deserve it. But I am going to earn, whether you trust us right now, whether we have credibility in your eyes now or don't, whether I could, try and convince you or not, it doesn't matter. I am going to spend the rest of my days in this life being the best damn father and husband I can be. And then on top of that, to support that financially, hopefully, I'm going to literally do this job, cover LSU the best I possibly can. That doesn't mean it's better than Jacques Doucet or better than this person. It's hard to be better than Jacques Doucet, for one. For two, the success or failure of others has no effect on whether I'm successful or failing. And the same goes for every one of us. Same goes for in every facet of life. We control our own destiny. We control our own path. If you get distracted, you're distracted. You're off course now. If you fall behind, you're falling behind now. You control your own destiny. And as someone who bets on themselves, it's a very good feeling. So, last thing I'd like to say, and this is a very serious very serious proposition here, and there's people I know watching this who could do this. If y'all want to really make a big dent in LSU media, if you want to have the biggest athletes in the country on your media company's shows, announcing their commitments, having these big time interviews, if you want to really take this thing to the next level and kind of create a Barstool Sports of LSU, where I could right now snap my fingers and get probably 7 or 8 of the most established LSU media minds and platforms all under one umbrella. We can make it all happen. We just need some financial backing that really not too much. We could, make happen with just a little bit. There's something that needs to be started. There's some vision that I have, and I've had it for a long time. And we've fallen in with some really interesting, intriguing directions as far as corporations down there in Baton Rouge, corporate partnerships that could be fostered. There's a lot of loose ends that are waiting to be tied up, just waiting, that have been set up that way. And it is a great and interesting opportunity that I would like to proposition for some people. If you want to get into the LSU media business, we are the people to get into it with at this stage, where we control, we are the boss, we are going to put the truth out there. We are not controlled by any, dominion or any person. It is just us. So there is an opportunity to really go for being the most comedic, most entertaining, most artistically friendly, most boundary pushing, LSU coverage you can find. And there's a lot of juice in that. So if you're interested in becoming a partner in that vision, that voyage, that ambition-laden venture, then hit us up, DM us on Twitter at Lon Phillips. We even we have many ways to get a hold of us all throughout. All of our social media has all sorts of places to like or follow our stuff and get in contact with us. Here's some more places. Visit and subscribe. LSUODYSSEY.com/subscribe, and follow us on X or Twitter at Lon Phillips. We use Twitter the most. That is what we post things on the most. But we also have an Instagram, and then we do have a Facebook. We have a Patreon that we've been putting as many articles as we can put up on there to post over on Facebook. Facebook won't take LSUODYSSEY.com as a URL anymore for God knows what reason. And not blocked on any other site, just blocked on Facebook for some reason. And so we've been trying to cheat around that by putting it on Patreon, which has been hilarious and has worked. So we've got a Patreon as well. We've got an Instagram that we've been trying to build up. But here's the thing that I'm just wanting to say is we are ready and willing to try and make this the best season of LSU coverage we've ever done. Like, there's something about this team. There's something in the air tonight. Oh Lord, to quote Phil Collins, there's just a buzz, a feeling that anything can be possible. And I feel that from a business perspective. I feel that from an LSU perspective. I feel that from a creative perspective. I feel that from a family perspective. I mean, hell, I'm about to have a daughter by December. So my world's already going to be turned upside down a few times within the next 5-6 months. So why not flip it on its axis a few more times? Anyway, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you for any interest, any watching that you've done with us and for us, really helping us out. Any sharing you can do is greatly appreciated. Any sharing of our stuff, retweeting of our stuff, it's huge for the algorithm. Let the people know, let the algorithm know that you like us. Let the algorithm know you want us in your feed, in your vibe. And really, you're going to be hearing a lot more from us. We're just getting started. We've been talking for the last 5 hours, and we're just getting started. So everybody, thank you very much. We're going to be doing a special show guest starring with college football season on their podcast tomorrow, covering LSU scrimmage. We will have something on Garrett Nussmeier, what shape he's in, what he was able to do, all of that, whether his leg was removed, whether Nuss was in a wheelchair, or if he was, on an Aussie type of throne. We will find that out tomorrow. So definitely check in with us at LSUODYSSEY.com and on our Twitter. Visit, follow, like, comment, share. Love you guys. Thank you so much for all you do. Thank you so much for checking in with us and for supporting us for so damn long. Some of you, it's really insane, and I want to do my best and get the best possible guests on this show, the best possible interviews, best possible writing, best possible everything. We want to deliver for you as much as we can. Thank you. Love y'all. Good night. And you want a number, chances are we will give it to you privately. Everybody, thank you so much for watching the show. Let's hope JT Lindsay can clear his name and move past this absolute nightmare for him and his family, and really, hopefully, come back to LSU and tear it up. Everybody, have a good night.